This is not a toothpaste. It's a revolution for your teeth. Remineralized, strengthened teeth, all natural ingredients, essential oils, minerals, salts. Alphabetic Dental Solutions System. That's alphabetic.com/civilization. You know, we're always trying to bring you the best products here that we think will enhance your life, especially if supply chains break down further, or if there's some disruption in our lives here. It seems in the news more and more possible, but hey, who knows? Maybe it's a mind game. But what is not is keeping your dental health up. And not a lot of people are talking about this. We always see the storable foods. But what about dental care during these same emergency situations? Will your toothpaste eventually run out? Well, if it does, then what? So like I say, this whole micro gut biome is driven by your oral cavity first. So take a look at what they have, alphabetic.com/civilization. Every purchase you make helps keep our live radio show and podcast on air, bringing you more information just like this. alphabetic.com/civilization. That link is in the show notes below. And as always, I appreciate your valuable time and joining us in this ever and most important conversation as we move forward in our world. Hey everyone, are you ready to grow your own fresh, delicious vegetables, herbs, and flowers this season? If you're looking for the highest quality heirloom and organic seeds, I've got the perfect company for you, True Leaf Market. They've been a trusted seed company since 1974, offering 3,000 types of non-GMO varieties, everything from classic heirloom tomatoes and peppers to rare herbs, microgreens, sprouting seeds, and beautiful flowers. All those seeds are open pollinated, pure, and perfect for home gardeners or anyone wanting healthy, flavorful produce without chemicals. What I love the most is their huge selection, fast shipping guarantees, plus options for bulk if you're going big. If you're excited to start your garden this year with real, authentic heirloom and organic seeds, click the link in the description box below. Check out TrueLeafMarket.com. You won't regret it. Happy planting, and thank you for supporting the channel and this broadcast.
Please remember to sign up for our show notes. With Civilization Cycle podcast, you can learn what to expect as society resets. Agriculture, economy, tech, and history all have mappable cycles, and these cycles affect every aspect of our lives. We can navigate the chaos and thrive together with up-to-date news and information. Also, if you like the content we have here on Civilization Cycle, think about fueling the discussions and the show by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Civilization Cycle. And thank you for all the support.
And I do thank you for joining us tonight. Ransom Godwin here, along with me, David Dubine, your host, plural here, thecivilizationcycle.com. Well, the world has objectively moved to the point that everybody can see it has taken a different form, or is in the very process of struggling to make a different form of itself, whatever that is coming to be. It's so noticeable with the strength of the storms that are coming through, the price of the metals, and just everything itself is running away that a physical thing is in price. There's really nothing that can keep up any longer. It's more like the belief system of how people are looking around. But where's the opportunity in that is the question. Now you could look at anything that's happening worldwide right now, and where's an opportunity that you see in that? You can look at it from that edge of it where the news is feeding, which is great to know, especially when there's ice storms in. Oh, by the way, there's another blizzard coming into the East Coast this weekend here over the 30th, 31st, and also sea effect snow off of Florida. Sea effect snow and 20-degree Fahrenheit wind chill factors all the way down south of Orlando. Way down. It's going to be 27 degrees Fahrenheit in Miami with wind chills down into the low 20s. That's another thing coming in right now. So I don't know. The things we're seeing around us just reflect that there's a larger cycle happening right now. But so you have to ask who knew this cycle was coming to prepare, because it seems like everything's already ready to switch right when this cycle was onsetting. It's kind of weird how those are in tandem. Seems like it was almost known, not planned, known the cycle was coming in. But again, who would have that knowledge to map thousands of years of cycles and not share it with the rest of us? Just asking the question. Ransom Godwin with me tonight. Hyperinflation, we wanted to talk about that. I'd sent a couple slides that I just created before the show, looking at just a visual pattern. I don't know if you see the same things I do. But when something is a repetition, maybe it becomes like a pattern, like you're looking at a floor, a mosaic, you can, that tiles are all the same going out, right? Energy's at 3-year highs, by the way. Welcome to the, ultimate highest insurance rates for homeowners, for auto owners. Welcome. 3-year highs for energy, groceries. It just continues on to everything. That's what I'm saying. We're at the end of the system here. And enjoy the ride, everyone. Ransom Godwin just joining us, popping in right there. What up, dude?
What's up? Yeah, how long have they been doing these plans? I mean, you were just talking about really how long could it be back there? And this idea is really starting to circulate back into archaeology and stuff. It seems like there have been a group of humans. I'm personally say like 100,000 years at least minimum, but let's just go with 20,000 years. How about that? Or 17,000 years. This new paper out, it's not peer reviewed yet. However, it raises the same argument lots of people have raised about water cycles and how much erosion does it take to tear down, granite and sandstone, diorite, all these different kinds of stones here. And according to this study here, they're saying they're putting the pyramids, which I would say might include farming. I'm just going there. I mean, there's no linkage. I'm adding it myself because I don't see how you could make a monument like this without domesticated animals at least, and food for the people, whether they were working from their own fruition or they were forced to work or whatever the case may be. You still have to feed them, which to me means farming. And
Ransom.
Yeah.
Well, and it would have to be nutritious, well-balanced foods, because if you're having the people doing that supposed manual labor, as we're told, chipping all that stone, they'd have to be well-fed, full of calories, a lot of protein in there, and it'd have to be incredibly balanced because they would just be the ultimate carving machine.
Right. And that's all really that this is a new argument about the erosion, saying it can't possibly be only 4,600 years old. It must be at least 15,000 years or more. That's agreed upon by a lot of geologists now. It's not really The only thing really holding this number from going ahead and going to where the evidence says it is a group of Egyptologists and people that write history books. I mean, they don't want to have to rewrite books and know that their books were completely false because they just didn't know. But you were talking about how long it kind of takes for planning to go on. How long do you think it even took to plan something like the Great Pyramid itself, especially if you're supposed to assume that, you know, which I can't assume that because of the level of technology, but that's the idea, that these are less technologically advanced people in the far remote past, whether it's 5,000 years, 15,000 years, 20,000 years. Either way, they would have had to plan it for hundreds of years even before getting started, and it would have took a long time to build it. A lot of food, a lot of manpower, and we're not even claiming that humans were doing much more than scratching their butt and living in caves at 20,000 years ago.
At best. And it asks you, the main question to be asked is why now? Why is this information coming now? I mean, I read that book back in, was it 94, 95, Graham Hancock, when it first came out, man. It was the earth-shattering book. Truly, it meant earth-shattering book. Fingerprints of the Gods. That very first one that challenged everything that was ever written that all the academia controlled. That came out, it blew minds away. Why now, though? So they'd been ridiculing all these people talking about the same, Robert Schoch as well. He's talking about erosion on the Sphinx, water erosion that dates it to about that same time, like 18,000 years ago, 18 to 21,000 years ago. It was like the research from Robert Schoch that shows water erosion. And I am telling you unequivocally also that this interglacial, these 10,000 years, it was forested around 6,000 years ago all across northern Africa. You could take a boat from like Yemen across the Red Sea into like Ethiopia and the Sudan and take a river system all the way over to West Africa out to the Atlantic Ocean. That's how different it was than it is today. Full of forests, estuaries, wetlands, gold trading routes. The Aksum were trading at their later stages with the Ghana Kingdom across through Middle Africa now, which was a mega lake drying out. About maybe, think of a Great Lake in today's terms, but half full. That's what was left over as it was drying out some 6,000 years ago. It was actually at its apex at 7,000. That's how different it was. So, talking about that, then that has to re-explain our entire human history. So how much distraction could that create if all of a sudden the hubbub is pyramids are 20,000, 18,000 years old? Oh, there's all these experts. They talked about it. We just misdated them and made fun of them. It's all good now. Their research is the most valid. You all old whatever you're doing, your old dinosaur people back in the universities in your crusty basement with cobwebs, you're out. You had all the wrong information. You're outdated. Like, see how they could snip those people off right there. You talk about job reduction, snip. Okay, your information's old. All these new people. But what would that do to reset humanity? And at the same time that gold and silver, the most ancient of money, see it, that's how it all ties back together. It's ancient money. It's tying back into the collapse and hyperinflation. And now we're coming back into the ages that are unbelievably to think of, at least, well, for a lot of people, 20,000 years. How could that be? And, I'd like to touch on your point in a minute here about what did the people in the last ice age do? That 10,000 years of warmth between the last ice age, warm period, ice age, now warm period. We had the same 10,000 years as those people about 1,000 or 10,000, or excuse me, 118,000 years ago. What did they do for 10,000 years, 118,000 years ago? That's what I want to know too. Like, what kind of tech did they develop in those 10,000 years of warmth?
Right. It's hard to believe that nobody was doing nothing for periods of thousands of years, right?
Impossible. Nope.
I mean,
Impossible. Everything we know is a lie about history. I'm going to say the research points to that.
I mean, I can buy, the standard cataclysm model of being set back. However, obviously, we've never been set back all the way. In other words, each era had leftover knowledge, literature of some form, maybe oral tradition, but they also were taking over some layer of technology, obviously, because at different stages, we seem to have lost that technology, mostly, when you point to the megalithic stuff. And were they dealing with all these same problems? World wars, inflation of their monies and stuff. Do they just recycle this idea until the civilization collapses, start over, introduce new money, a new system, but really it's the old system, and they just ride the cycle again?
And they lie about the history. The thing you'd have to do is disappear the history, change the history, so it wouldn't be. You put two and two together pretty quick, right? If you had all the true history,
Right.
yeah, they have to destroy it, the past, the last of it. So anything that was like 16th century, so like say from the 14 to the say 1700s, all those amazing cathedrals and buildings, they had to destroy every one of them. It took 2 world wars to do it. It's taken, the last 50 years of just, it's construction or upbuilding or upgrading to get rid of the rest. There's fires here, there's all kind of disasters in that. But going on that lane of just like how it's so far off. Everything's like a Six Sigma even thought these days. You got Six Sigma thoughts everywhere now. But the cherry on top, I guess, to put into this Six Sigma event, the Bank of England said you need to adjust your stock portfolio for an alien invasion. Not the Onion, serious. That's what. And then I started to think, like, what is the alien? Is it AI? Is it like, what is it? Is it interdimensional? Is it actually extraterrestrial? What is this alien invasion? Is it nanoparticulate? I mean, what is it? But for the Bank of England to come out and say you need to prepare for an alien invasion and adjust your stock portfolio, that's pretty, right up there with gold and silver going the highest in intraday trade ever, breaking the record from yesterday's highest trade up in gold and silver ever. And then I got smashed back down 10%, and then it went right back up. Something's very broken, which I thank you for putting the charts up here, Ransom. What do you think of them now when you see that? Prepare for the alien invasion and adjust your stock portfolio based on the hyperinflation from that's a Weimar Republic, and the US dollar on silver price. A lot said, but go ahead.
I'm just thinking, where and when is the peak on these things? Because, always after the peak is the inevitable trough, at the bottom, the dip. And that's when all the wealth transferring actually happens, not the zeros and ones, but the actual properties, the metals, all of this stuff. So we're looking at, and, I'm looking over there in the Middle East, we're moving all of this stuff over there. So it's been kind of a long ride. They've been slow rolling it, but World War III is still on the table, but it might not take form in what we're used to or what we're expecting to see, which is, like World War II trenches and, everybody getting blown up and artillery and tanks. It's not even going to be that kind of thing. They're just going to be massive amounts of small localized skirmishes with AI and drones until they just take property. And then the maps just change slowly. And we're already seeing that. We're going to see, I'm going to say within the end of this summer, no more Cuba, or at least the Cuba thing that's going on there, that's been going on there for decades. That's going to morph into something else. And Iran is going to morph into something else, and that's going to be sooner than later. But this all ties into the transfer of wealth, the oils, the straits, the trade agreements to allow goods to flow by and through the ports. So that's the contracting that's all changing, and it looks like we've basically in some way or another taken Greenland as an asset. So I would say that that's pretty much a done deal. We're putting troops there as we speak. We're going to spread out. We're going to offer business and mining and all kinds of stuff. It's going to look a lot like what we're trying to do in Venezuela as well, which is revamp a new economic system. It's just a question of, will we as middle class or lower class in the terminology of the West be allowed to participate in the economic boom and growth that'll happen after the trough? And I don't think it is, because today, all day, everywhere I looked, I kept seeing the UBI idea. You know what? These AI are so good, you can still get paid. This is the deal they're offering now with the companies. You can just go home. You can still get paid. The AI system and algorithms that you help create will pay you. So if you're in the era right now that's part of it, you'll get a UBI, which is, I mean, they're going to call it something else, but basically it's a universal basic income for them to just go ahead and stay home. And then if you don't have stock or some kind of claim in any company, this is where the peasant basically, or the middle class, get bypassed. So there's going to be specific reasons at first to give out the UBI. It's not just going to be because you're out on the street with some addictions and you're hungry and you're cold. That's not really who they're going to offer it to. Right now, they're offering it to all the people that they want to just stop working because they don't want this massive wave of realization to humans realizing that unskilled jobs, or jobs that aren't really that hard, or jobs that are in the cyberspace, are all being replaced, all of them. Amazon's firing tens of thousands of people every 2 months. I've been keeping track. It was like 100,000, then they let go of 20,000. I've seen another one today about 16,000 more. So more and more jobs are just going to get replaced. And this goes mostly where you're going to see it first is in government and the way that commerce runs. So the AI is going to now take care of everything that usually you would hire 10, 15, or 20 people to do. It's going to do it. But the problem is it's still faulty and vulnerable. So I don't know how they're going to really sell it on people. So what I think is about to happen is an explosion in brand new trades, brand new skills, and things to get around this AI nightmare. So people are already hungry for it in the entertainment world. It was like a novelty idea. It came out. Now it looks too real, and people are trying to avoid that. They don't want the AI slop. They want to see something real in the world. And more, and let me tell you this story before we get back to the money, because I think it relates. That guy that had an altercation with the ICE and ended it, his life got ended by it. And you may have your opinions one way or another. However, my point is that entire giant propaganda campaigns on both sides of ideas started to manifest, and more than 50% that I've seen is AI. So they're using AI photos. They even doctored the guy's photo on CBS and CNN so he'd look more attractive than the real guy, so you'd have more empathy for him. So that they could, they're literally taking all this science that they gathered during the 90s and early 2000s, from the consumers, from the product buyers, from the viewers, from the all of the little areas in which that they take metadata from to find out how you think. They're now reversing that as a weapon of propaganda. So they know what people think, what's averagely attractive or normal. And if someone doesn't fit that, they just switch the image. And I thought, you know what? They got busted. That's funny. But then 2 or 3 days later, I'm seeing it on all the same AI images that are already a kind of a scandal on the internet are still being broadcast on all the channels. So we're watching I think it was Estrella TV, and they're using these AI photos of people, and those aren't even the people. The video footage wasn't real. So now when they tell you that your dollar's not worth nothing because this thing happened somewhere in the world, and now you're looking at some grainy video of some event that supposedly happened, and they're telling you that this is the reason that we're about to go to war, or they're closing somebody's borders, or that the price of oil or silver or gold or something either skyrocketed or dipped. You can see how the entire thing's an AI run system already. We're already living in it. I think we were even maybe 5 to 10 years behind on even trying to realize what was happening.
Yeah, I wonder if we look back 10, 15 years ago, if there's AI stuff that we would recognize as AI now. Back then, some of the things that we looked at that we did, that it's really much more advanced. It's 10, 15 years ahead of us. They're just giving it to us. That'd be interesting for somebody to look back at it. But if I could speak on demand pricing for a second and right into this AI generative, and it goes right into this hyperinflation chart here. This is a great chart to look at. I mean, those are startlingly similar. And I had another one there for you as well. Those two, they're similar. They just have different names on them. That's all. They, yeah, the one has hyperinflation, and then the other one has a black background on it. But look at how quickly it's going up. So, they're not giving me on the green that kind of chart where you could start just 4 years back. It goes all the way back to 1803. But notice that from 1803, there's hardly any inflation in the dollar when we were using sound money. You know. So if this is any indication of what's happening, it's happening everywhere. And I absolutely tell you, it's happening to all metals and minerals and everything. I was looking at like a coin melt value site, and it showed that the penny is now the full copper penny is worth about 4.5, almost 5 cents. And a nickel right now is worth about probably 8 cents, like 7.9 cents, not quite eight. Just because the copper value inside our old coinage. And then everything you look at, the uranium prices are going up. Anything you can think of. And I'm just going to say, what's behind that? The one step behind that is food, because we're at 3-year highs on the energy right now. Energy is going up. It may not be the crude. They're trying to deflect you with the crude oil and the whole Venezuela thing. But who's looking over at the natural gas prices? Like the natural gas prices doubled during this last storm. And everybody's power bills are going to be exceptionally high because they had to go on the open market with like 18 states bidding with no budget for that same electricity so their people don't get put into the dark. And they're going on how many megawatt, 100 megawatt hours we're purchasing out there from the power providers. But the natural gas at that time was twice as expensive for that extra generation. So that's just going to get passed on to you because that's the price they had to pay. Well, it's an inflated price, and that's going to get passed right on to you. So look for giant higher electric bills coming up. January is going to be a shocker for a lot of people because, there was just so much more of the data centers sucking in the electric. But I had a chance to, I went into Walmart and was going to get a bottle of wine because we were going to burn in the backfield because a bunch of trees fell in the storm. We chainsawed a bunch of stuff. We wanted to just burn it through the evening, sit out in the backfield. It's chilly, have some wine, make a roaring fire, just keep throwing, logs and branches and that sort of thing on it. So I went and I was like, all right, I want to get that. And they're like, oh, we need your ID. And I said, okay. And they're like, well, we can't use this ID. And I was, what are you talking about? And they're like, no, yeah, you have to let us scan the back of it because I just hold on to it. It's like, that's a strange thing. Why would I need to do that? Because this is a new thing. They're trying to get the back of your driver's license, like anywhere you go for ID. Like legally, the law is your license is valid. It's not expired. It shows the date of birth. And that's all they need, supposedly, to say you're older than 18, you're older than 21. So anyway, now they're making you scan the back of your driver's license. And Home Depot does this too. They have dynamic pricing as well. Every single company right now is moving to dynamic pricing using AI based on the information they can get off the back of your driver's license. Now, if you didn't know, there's approximately 62 pieces of data encapsulated in those barcode that's on the back of your driver's license. 62, including your blood type. Your last residences anywhere, like all of them, the types of cars that you had, if you had prior registry to that license and to your name and to a VIN number and a license plate, that was all in there too. All of the last cars and all of your last residences. But the thing, I think they firewalled off that information for the general public is like Walmart scanning your ID. Like, oh, that's the last. Anyway, I was like, already have a piece of, I'm just like, I already cover that anyway. So like, we can't sell you anything. And I was like, well, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm not going to let you scan the back of my driver's license. So anyway, the reason I knew not to even, and this is distant warning, do not, nobody scans the back of your driver's license. Dynamic pricing gives you the zip code that you live in, and it knows your approximate home value. Now, just based on that one singular piece of data, let alone if you've had prior interaction with the store and you've bought things and they've rung you up once and you used a credit card to attach to that. Now they got your credit, the what you've bought in the store, what you were willing to spend on items, and they know the value of your home if they scan the back of your license. So they're starting to build a financial profile on you. And are you being charged the same at the register when you quickly grab things? It's almost like you need to write everything down on the tag. And then when they scan it, you need to immediately check to see if the price is the same. Because there's all these videos about people buying meat. It's not the same price. It's not the same weight that's on the labels. And I'm just thinking, and is this the future that we have? Because if you did, about 3 weeks ago, they did a report on dynamic pricing, and generally supermarkets were earning an extra 3 to 8% on their revenue by using dynamic pricing. what they can build on you publicly and what you publicly give them. And that's the whole thing about these, the cashiers. Just by handing you the thing to even check out if you want to buy anything that needs an ID, you instantly have to allow them to scan your ID, and you're not giving them the permission to do it. They're just grabbing it as fast as they can. Also, another thing with that, putting you into a financial category that they think you'll pay more for this item, and they are absolutely rounding up. I heard a manager say they're rounding up now, and I'd heard this too, since they're disused and they went away from pennies. They're rounding up. Now, if you go onto the store, you still see like $3.99 items, right? So think about that, the way the pricing would be dynamically, because the label would be different. So they have a 4-cent wiggle room on each price of every single item in the whole store. If they're going to round up on you every single one because of your financial profiling, that's how they're making their extra 3 to 8% in the industry. That extra wiggle, 4 cents. Right now it's 4 cents. What's it going to be when they do away with the nickel? A whole 10 cents they can play with? You get charged 10 cents more on every single item that you buy just because you're in a certain financial category that they've tagged you on, because your zip code and your property taxes are associated to that zip code. Therefore, your home value, or you must make twice as much as those people over there. And then one last thing, Ransom, on this. Walmart would also be working into conjunction if they scan the ID to see if it is a real ID or just an old-fashioned ID. Because a lot of people in Tennessee are like, I'm not getting the real ID. But that's in the state of Tennessee, so that's a Tennessee-specific database. See, if Walmart scans your ID, that goes into their entire United States system, and then that information shared and says they don't have a real ID yet. That's the danger of this. It's far outside when you get into the multinationals, especially, and they're all in all 50 states. Then that data is shared. Well, one AG will requested that they can get that, or okay, we'll have to open the database. It's in this liberal state of just law liberalness, not even like politics, but just how loose the law can be signed away for something for, I don't know, jurisprudence, one of those things. So when your corporations like Home Depots and Walmarts are scraping your data, we've jumped so far past the shark. Now comes the metals. And you were going to say something, Rance. I'm going to cut you off there. But those are my two things with my Walmart story. $10. All of the drugstores and dollar stores are doing this in Michigan, going on a year in a row. Thanks for the extra info on that.
Yeah. And somebody else said something about the dollar store, which I know for a fact. That is their store policy. They want to collect that information. And the reason that they do that is because they sell that information to third parties, including medical research groups and things, who then pass on that information once again to your healthcare providers. And it's not happening yet, but you've seen how socialist healthcares around the world do things.
So good. Top notch.
So it's not too far-fetched to figure out that they're collecting that information so that they could start cutting people off. And that kind of wraps back around to this idea of what are we going to actually start doing here? Well, I know what I will be doing. Besides, creating your own food, but how are you going to pay these bills?
Yeah. You hit on that. Well, if you're getting AI, you'll never, ever be able to save any money. And that'll put you perpetually in what you talk that surf class, where you're at the, however many, let's say 100 million people get on that UBI. There's no way for them to save anything. And if that prices ever go off, they take that system away, they literally have no net at all. That's scary, man.
And then the other thing was, like, you were talking about, the IDs and scanning it for different prices. I recently went to a mall. And when I did notice that when I went through the stores, there was no prices on anything at the mall, right? And malls generally are closing across America, but it shows you the corporate future of what all stores are going to be like. There's no prices. You have to scan things. And if you scan it, that links it to that personal price range that you may be getting.
And online shopping too. I mean, they got you even more wired, because if you're using a credit card, you're actually giving your banking details then. And if there's somehow like a third-party API that plugs in, that they share that data, then they could see what your category risk is for the bank. of either lending you and giving you some credit if you're taking on some debt for something, or if there's some way to see if they consider you a preferred client because you always have this much in your bank account. There's always this much. It never deviates. It never goes ever below this much. So you're this category of person. Like, what kind of data can they siphon off of that by knowing your credit card, working with a third party provider, as they call them?
Right. And I'm seeing
Yeah,
this
I don't know. I don't have the answer.
this universal basic income is going to work into this other idea of having your ID and your medical history and your travel and everything all on this digital bio what do you call it? I already went brain dead there. The biometrics, excuse me. I don't know why I went brain dead, but that'll be all tied in here. And, this whole article talks about how great it is that this lady, she's 27, she gets to stay at home. She gets so much money per month now, and she just chooses how to spend it. But what they leave out is what you said right there is you're going to have to choose to spend it on bills. That's what's going to
Yeah, that's
happen.
1,500
You're going to
barely
have rent, bills.
shit in America anymore.
Those things aren't going to go away. They're only going to go up. So you're going to have to increasingly have a reason to have a bigger UBI every month for depending on who you are for your needs, right? But that's not what it's catering to. This is like a snack to trick you into thinking you're going to get a good dinner. This is like the free bread at the table at Olive Garden to fill you up. Where you're going to overspend thinking you're hungry, but you're not here. That's kind of like this, except for the dinner's never going to come at the end. You just get the snack every month. It's just a snack because, like you said, it'll just work out to just how much you need on bills and maybe a little food. And you might be able to buy a trinket off of Amazon, but you're not going to be able to, maybe invest in a portfolio or buy a house or, things like that will actually promote security for your financial future. Those things are going by the wayside because they want you to get used to this. And not only that, watch or, mark my words, you're going to see one of these programs come out and they're going to pitch it like, hey, look, you're not on welfare. You've got a universal basic income. You're not on welfare. This isn't help. This is just, you deserve this. But the problem is obviously 9 billion people can't take this much out of any system and it be worth anything once it's divided by everybody, right? So it's obviously just a snack. It's a bait and switch. So what they're going to do is they're going to offer all this while the jobs disappear. And then one day they're just going to say, well, you know what? Like we have to close the government, which they're about to probably do again in January because we can't pay things. I'm sorry about that, but you can't get your universal basic income for a while here. And then how does that work out when you get back to the realities of weather and things like that? We just had this big storm go through, and guess what? Winter is not done with us. And in fact, people are. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it's not over. And then you got
Yeah,
right here.
Let me comment on that for a second. That $1,600 there. Can you go back to that slide?
Yeah.
Because you have to think about how is that money coming in? Okay, well, the government's selling debt, and then they're just getting money for free, payable 30 years in the future, 20 years in the future, to pay you $1,600 now. But it seems like that's money washing or laundering because that $1,600 will then go to an approved or preferred corporation that then siphons that money back to somehow the Fed, the Treasury, their local politicians, something like this. It's that just continuous circle. But it needs to find its way back into a money house for sure. I mean, if it comes out of a money house, it needs to go back in. All right, so where's this coming from? Who's buying this debt? So $1,600, I would look at that and I would say, okay, so I'm going to get this every month, right? I can get this each month, but I can't have another job. I can only take this and that's it.
Well, I don't know what,
Well,
like
they give it to you
rules.
extra in addition to your job in the beginning for like the first 3-year bonus ransom. You got to get on it.
Yeah. And this is actually, I think it was, for several years. It was a deal like yeah, you know what it was like? It was like whenever you get fired and they give you give you a nice severance check to take home. And
a nice severance check. I don't know what world you're living in, my friend.
No, but that's basically what it is. It's to tie people over so that they don't realize the impact of all the job losses. And then, I was going to connect this right to that food. You saw the shelves go empty in several states because people wait till the last minute and then they think, oh my God, I got to go buy a bunch of food. Everything's going to be closed and all that. and I was just kind of,
So wait,
you know,
let me go back to the $1,600. I was trying to formulate a thought here. Like, I would use that 1,600 to make money.
yeah, right.
So I'm looking at, so I have a farm here. So I look at that, go $1,600. All right, how much would you pay somebody to come out and help you with just general farm work? Nothing super specific. We plant here. We need to dig this up. We need to put the poles in. We need to chainsaw, and this thing goes in the truck. We need to move the rocks, whatever. Like 16. How much would you think per hour on just a regular farm work like that? Something. Give me a number.
16, like what you could do with $1,600 on a
Yeah, in
farm?
terms of labor, like if you could hire somebody else out to come and help you, how much would you charge per hour to do that physical labor of that a farm? $10, $15, $20, divide that 30 if you know how to do woodwork or whatever, but divide that by 1,600. How many hours do I get? If somebody else helping me, we save 25% for materials. And then I have a second person help me build something out, whether it be plant more trees that produce more fruit, chainsaw more things and split it into logs to sell cords of wood, just anything to help set like I would use that to hire somebody else to help me build out the farm more. So that's the way my direction will go with it. I'm looking at that's like free money for me to get more resources to help me do more on the physical realms around the farm.
Well, I mean, that is a nice idea, but like obviously they're going to stop with, it's not going to be an open-ended payment. It's just going to be a trick. But with $1,600, I'm sure you could get one employee just, $12, $13 an hour to get 80 hours out of them before you had to do that again.
I don't know about 80. That's a bit much, man. Like, I
Well,
mean,
let's say that they got,
5 hours a day,
well,
5 or
say
6 hours a day max.
$6 a day. I
No,
don't
5
know.
to 6 hours maximum. 5 hours.
Okay, well, I was just saying if you did it about what, $10 an hour, there's 100 hours right there. So if you paid them a little more, it's going to decrease in hours. That's why I said about 80 hours at $11 or $12 per hour. And then they're going to stand around looking at their phone and
That's
waiting
why you
on their.
need to be there with them. I found that when I hire people, I absolutely need to be with them. That's the whole point, though, is I want to do that, but it's going to take me 4 times longer just by myself or just one other person helping me, and then versus
I know,
getting
but
somebody out
sometimes
there and directing
I
them along. I know what I'm doing. All right, help me lift this. Okay, this bitch, you know.
I've always found that never works out. The one guy that you get that doesn't know what you're doing and you have to explain everything every time. It ends up being that you're paying yourself to babysit someone else instead of them doing their own thing and you doing your own thing. You end up doing their thing because they don't know how to do it. So
That's
you're
why you
just
try to get people who know how to do things first. That's the whole point of having a skill. I would hire somebody with a skill like you just said. That's perfect. You have
I
a skill
know,
and you understand how to do. I will hire you so much faster. You make your head spin. I don't
but
want
they're
to
not
waste the
gonna.
time doing exactly what you said. Training somebody how to do. You don't even know how to like run a
That's the
chainsaw. You're
problem,
supposed to be
right?
running a saw and helping clean up the forest, but it's the first time you've seen a chainsaw. Like, no, I want somebody who's already sawed. You know what I mean? Knows what a log ox is. Knows how to leverage something. Like leverage, literally leverage.
Now,
Like, okay,
now
that
you're
log
only
over.
talking. Now you're only talking 20 or 30 hours a month now if you got that person that knows how to do things.
Yeah, they cost more money, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Like, how
And
much
and
more than the
and plus they
$10
got
person
their
you're
their
talking?
own UBI supposedly, which you
Yeah,
can see how the money becomes worthless after no time at all when everybody's getting the same thing, and the corporations control the prices, so they make sure the prices just go up exactly to get. It's like turn on your. This is a project for all the viewers. You too, David. Hook up your antenna, watch the local TV, and then count out how many things that they're asking for money because they have a formula that they figure you have at least $20 a month you could give to them, whether it's cancer, the veterans, the puppies and kittens. It doesn't matter. It'll be 63 cents a day. And every few months, that number changes to like 64 or 65 because they're using an algorithm to figure out exactly how many cents they could pull off of someone for about $20 a month. So, say you feel bad for three of those things. I like veterans, those poor cancer kids, the poor animals. Now you're dishing out $60, which is 63 times 3 per day. And then they're going to round it up, like you were saying before. All of that stuff's going to end if people are getting universal basic incomes because they're going to realize they never get ahead. Nothing ever changes. Some people will be okay with that, just like on the digital soup kitchen welfare. Some people never really wanted to do anything. It never was a hand up, it was made into a handout. and that never works. So that's why I was saying we're about to have a renaissance, I think. The more of these jobs go to AI, the more real people with time are going to sit there and invent new products and new things and new services that circumvent that AI system. Uh, and you can think of most of them are on the end of the black market right now, but you can see in the future maybe some more legitimate things would come out from people um, circumventing that. But I don't think they're going to be able to, because they're cinching it up to not being able to buy or sell. I'm not going down the religious path, but they are indeed going in the direction of you having some kind of number, implant, scan, whatever you want to call it, on your forehead or your wrist there, just like the old good book says there, or on your palm.
Oh, ransom's being converted. All right, dude.
Sounds technologic to me, man.
Sounds technological. But not just that belief system talks about it. Pretty much every ancient belief system says it does. In a general term, it talks about a great change of times of man right now, all of them. Now, the way they would describe a great change of a time of man is obviously the way you think, your consciousness, the energy pervading through this part of the solar system or this part of our galaxy, like something that's at that level that changes, that literally changes humanity and changes the earth and all things on it, including like the water, the skies, the jet streams, the wind speeds, all of it changes, all of it.
Right.
That's where we'd be sitting on that. And if I might say this, see, that's also inflation, what you just described to me, because Sally Struthers, damn it, she used to be $1 a day to feed a kid in Sudan, and now they want you to give $20. See the inflation in the ask also. Look at the inflation in the ask on that. That's 20 times greater than they thought they could get in the 80s.
Yeah. They used to say just for the cup of coffee, but now a cup of coffee is like $5.
Yeah, we need 5 cups of buyusacoffee.com/civilization cycle. Thank you for that lead in there, Ransom. QR code, cue it. Kapong.
It's here somewhere, man.
Buymeacoffee.com. Yeah, I've updated all of the podcasts up to episode, I think 601 or 2, just a couple episodes behind. So I wish they would include a way you could link in a podcast player, because I'd love to put the entire player right in there. So as soon as you come to buymeacoffee.com, boom, you can hit on it. And, do you have any more comments that you're throwing up there from what else do we have for comments on Buy Me Coffee? I was trying to, let me see.
I know you got a super chat
a break in the action. I need to get let's see.
I put it up there, but I forgot to say your guys' name. It was Shake Lane. Gave you $10.
Lane, what up, dude? Or chick, whatever. That's funny. Yeah, I remember the name over the last couple of weeks. Thank you so much. I'm just off the side of my head here. There we go.
Money grubbers.
Who's a money grubber?
I'm not a good grubber.
No, we don't grub, man. We actually give you value. Do you think we're sitting here talking about these things that not a lot of people are talking about to try to connect them into dots, and that's valueless? You time grabber. Time grabber. You want us to work for free and get nothing out of it except just entertain you? What, do you want me to start juggling?
Come on.
The Victor's Right history book. So keep getting the real truth out there. Thank you, William Hooper. Bought us 5 double espressos. So true.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
Thank you for that comment. Yeah. Getting the truth out is costly. Like you look at all these other YouTube channels and all the social media that is really making millions of dollars doing the exact same thing we're doing with just a different message, because they're more about the entertainment side of it versus the truth side of it. And the closer you get to the truth, the more strangled you get. So be thankful that you're on here, because, well,
I tried to juggle, but I can only do one thing.
Yeah, I know. Light them on fire. I want to see snowball juggling with, like, I don't know, jet fuel christened nanoparticulate snow polymer balls on fire in your hands juggling.
Oh God, don't get me started on the non-melting snow, man.
Oh, don't get me. Yeah, tell me about the non-melting snow. I saw a video of that and I was like, really? Okay, no, I do have a blowtorch and I'm going to get it out. It's just for melting metal, because a lot of times on a farm, a lot of things twist and that you can't undo that metal. You know how many you go through the bottles of those the whole season, because when you run into things, it bends metal. And if you can do that, that's another skill to even know how to use a torch. to heat up a piece of metal and then
How
use
come
a
they?
small
I
sledge,
know,
depending
but
on what shape it is, and then get your metal bang back out again.
how
Like
come
even
these people
doing that
don't,
simple stuff.
put the snow in a cup, weigh it, let it melt in a bag or a balloon? It's all there, and they don't get the idea that it doesn't have to transition to water before it becomes vapor.
That's called sublimation, everybody.
Yeah,
Sublimation.
sublimation. That's right. It goes
It
directly
is.
into a gas. You don't see it, but I guarantee you, it's going to melt. It is
Happens in
snow.
the Arctic too, like the Arctic ice, like north of Greenland when it gets really cold. That cold goes straight from wind, ice, right up to gas. There's no middle bit in there. That happens in the Arctic all the time, every year, always. That's an ongoing process of erosion. Speaking of the pyramids at 20,000 years old, they found the capstones, so they were measuring that versus what was under it. The capstones had been removed long ago. So there's still areas where the capstones are on. So they were trying to measure the water erosion on the bigger blocks compared to the capstones because that area was like left open that they could measure it, and that's how they determined what the age of that was very similar.
You guys better get ready over there on the East Coast there.
Get ready on the East Coast. Another bomb cyclone is coming.
In decades. It's always decades or 100 years now. It's
Yeah.
not like, hey, this is the biggest snowstorm since last year.
Well, at least they're telling people to prepare for record cold coming again. Now you got to get this. There's going to be what they call sea effect snow. Now, I've heard of this term before because Japan gets sea effect snow in the Yellow Sea. Like it's really Japan, like in the Great Lakes, if you're living in a snow belt in Great Lakes, Japan on the west side, closer to Korea, in that Yellow Sea, the prevailing winds come over the Yellow Sea and blow into Japan on the west side of their island chain. And
Cold.
it's really wet, and it collides with that Arctic air from the Kamchatka Peninsula, Russian region, and they get sea effect snow like multiple times a year, multiple times. But they're way up at like 50 north. You're going to get sea effect snow in Florida at like 26 north. Tell me something's not the same, didn't change. Come on.
We even got snow here in the desert where I live. We got about 4 inches.
Let me make this a little smaller. I want to read that article. What does that say exactly there? Let's see. Thousands of commuters left stranded in U.S. as U.S. city suspends major transit service with rivers frozen ahead of a bomb cyclone.
Yeah.
New York.
Don't trust the government. They're not going to help you.
New York. Where is this? Which U.S. city? I'm enthralled. I'm nervous. I need to know the answer.
I thought
I'll scroll. I'll sign up for it just so I can know the answer.
Staten Island, man. It's the Staten Island
Staten
ferry.
Island. Is it really? Oh, look how much river ice that is. Okay. Now, to be that cold to have that much river ice, yeah. Do you know how much traffic there is on the river there anyway, just in New York City, like the ferries, the commercial traffic, the large carriers? I mean, just there's cruise ships. There's like shitloads of stuff all the time. Tugboats, man. It is chock-a-block full of floating craft breaking the ice continuously, going up and down, especially around that area. And if it's iced in that much, I mean, damn, that's got to be really, really cold. I mean, really cold, like record cold.
Yeah. It's
And the only reason that's staying
cyclone.
unblocked like that is because look, you could see the ship track right back there, the way the ships. The only reason that's not completely frozen, or no, go to that previous one up that you had the tourists there that were looking out the back of the boat. Just scroll up the page.
No, I got a freeze out session here.
Oh, great.
There we go.
There you go. Okay, right there. Now look to the left, and you can see where that open patch of blue water is. That's where another ship had transited just a bit earlier.
Right. I would take cruises and things like that, but they won't let me take an inflatable raft and some, life jackets and scuba gear and all that stuff in my luggage. They just won't let me take it. Like, I would love to take more flights on airlines, but they won't let me take a parachute, and they won't let me sit by the door.
Well, that's a shame. Hey, that's bad service. I thought the customer was always right.
Hey, but at least I can wear my shoes.
Nice.
To the checkout.
Gonna let you through this time with no shoe check. You must be on a good boy list.
That's all right, because AI is going to fix everything for us from now on. When you travel on the holidays, the AI is going to fly you. It's going to figure out where your bags go. It's going to help you get through, maintenance, enhance efficiency and experience. Don't worry about it.
Spoken like a true marketer right there, Ransom. I mean,
Well, the only reason I brought this up is because this is how they're going to ease it in there. First, it's taking care of the baggage, then it's taking care of the the flights and different stuff online, and then next it's flying you.
Wow, the white glove service never ends, never ends. Now, speaking of that, before you can go any further, you really have to just go back to the base electricity and think about the confidence in government in Mississippi and Nashville. So Mississippi still has 6% of the people out of power in the whole entire state from last week's storm that we were talking about on this show to prepare for, that the ice storms were going to be devastating. And look at this. Mississippi, 6% of the people still no power. Tennessee, still 2.5% of the entire state doesn't have power still. Nashville, the capital city, is 7%, still no, 17, excuse me, percent people do not have any power. The capital city, and it's 17% dark still. Before it was a 92% when the storm came in, 92%. The capital city, 92% dark.
Is New Mexico on that chart?
I thought earlier. They do have Northeast Mississippi. No,
Because
they
we had
don't.
very light snow. I mean, I realize
This is energy outages, and look at Mississippi or look at Louisiana too. This doesn't
right.
have anything to do with like temperatures or
No,
anything
I was
like
just
that.
gonna say, we really the storm started here and was mildest where I'm at. Yet there's like 4,000 people out of power still up on the mountain, just from a
Yeah,
light
then they give you
snow.
the individual regions. Now get this. This is a week later after we talked about this storm. In the Tallahatchie Valley, there's still 60% of all those people in that area, those counties right there, each one of those squares a county, into counties with no power. That's a huge area.
Right.
And then in East Mississippi, 52% are out in these particular counties right here. And if you click on it, it'll show you the exact counties. I think you can scroll over it and it'll tell you which county it is on the larger maps. And then Trippa, 42% of the people still no power. Like, how many were prepared for a week with no power or more?
Probably
I
not
mean,
as many as you would
could
think.
you have survived a week with no power? That's the question.
I
And how
can.
many people were prepared for that compared to the unprepared? And who is taking care of each other during this time that was prepared? Because if you know it's still ending and you're getting some news and you know the crews are coming, like that's why you also want to have communication devices. So you can listen to radio broadcasts of, yes, it improved in Nashville and those main trunk lines are coming down to this part. So then you're like, okay, they're fixing it. It's getting fixed versus there's still nobody out in the streets. You know, you want to
See,
know what's happening. Like
I don't think
knowing
that's
that, if you had
accurate.
with the food, you could help your neighbor because you'd have way more than you need now, knowing that the electricity will be turned on within the next 7 days.
I don't think that map is accurate. It seems to be underestimating because I don't see New Mexico on there at all. And I know for a fact there's like 3,000 to 4,000 people out of power right now in Ruidoso and Cloudcroft.
Oh, that's interesting. It just says 130 customers out. I shall refresh it.
That's
Oh,
Arizona, though.
there you go. Oh, wait. Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
there you go.
Says nobody. See? No,
849 people.
no, that is in Otero. So maybe they got the power turned on since the last time I checked. That's why it's
Okay.
only 1,000 people. But what's funny
Yeah,
about
because
that
weren't
is
you saying that they were having trouble coming up and down this eastern area, or yeah, the eastern part here, where you're saying they were trying to run over the mountains with natural gas pipelines, and it got really, really cold,
yeah,
and they struggled with pressures coming over to mountains. Is that right?
that's right. That's the whole thing. What's funny about it though is that those people that were out of power live in the mountains and routinely get snow because they live at that elevation. So the fact that normal snow just came through, I mean normal by comparison on the mountain, and still everybody's out of power up there for several days in a row.
Yeah, but how prepared are you for that? And again, dental care. Did you have anything? I mean, oh, I forgot to get a tube of toothpaste when I was running out for my emergency supplies. Do you have like an extra tube of toothpaste laying around your house? Just something real simple like that. Do you have like a one extra of everything? Do you have an extra bar of soap laying around the house?
Yeah, one of these in case
An
you
extra
get
razor blade in case you need. Yeah, right. An extra nose picker or whatever you have laying around.
no. Um, I use generally, man. The best thing to do is if you know products are good of any kind, you always buy them in multiples anyway. Like I always do that, no matter what it is. If it's a lighter, if it works good, if it's a car, if it's a tool set, you buy more than one. especially if they're at a deal at the time that you bought them. Then you can get two, and you always have a backup for when one breaks or is malfunctioning. And I do that with everything. Lights, I mean, literally every tool, you got a spare tool of that same tool, another redundant tool besides that. But electronics too. Like I'm sure a lot of people bought them like a little shortwave radio and things like that, and they're real proud of it. And then next thing you know, the cat pisses on it, doesn't work. What are you gonna do then?
Scold the cat.
No, I'm just joking about that. I bought a surround sound.
I don't know. What kind of answer are you looking for? I'm not sure.
Well, it's just what I'm saying is things don't always
Don't
work
piss
out.
on here
So
anything else again, you rat
gotta have
bastard, you
backup.
cat bastard.
Anyway, I think it's a commercial time.
It is indeed. We'll be back in a couple minutes. 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Take a break. We need a break as well. We're going to come back. Still got some more notes to go through here with you.
All right.
Did I even say that? Game speak English. We'll be back in 3. The gift of stress relief. Rest well, wake clear-headed, melatonin-free sleep snacks. Master herbalist building and combining CBD, CBDN, functional mushrooms, other sleep-enhancing botanicals with an impeccable balance. One of the greatest natural sleep aids currently available. How about CBD topicals? Full spectrum has benefits for inflammation and soreness on your skin. Body balms and body creams, what better gift to give relief? Please support Hemp Lucid, because by supporting Hemp Lucid, you are supporting us at the Civilization Cycle podcast, and you're actually supporting your health and yourself. Click on that link in the description box below the video, or tell them that the Civilization Cycle guys sent products you love. The 72-hour emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Not only emergency food, but camping food, and you can prepare that through the week as well. 20 delicious just add water meals. Think about creamy mac and cheese, hearty chili, sweet oatmeal. 2,000 calories a day. You need the calories. You're going to need to think and move. And the mashed potatoes, easier to make than oats, and you can add your own flavors. Goes with anything. For less than a couple of takeout meals at a fast food restaurant, get real peace of mind. And a real question to ask, how long could your family eat without leaving home? My Patriot Supply, click on that link in the description box below. It helps the channel. Truth is hard to say and hard to hear. Most people choose silence. We choose to speak. Your support of our sponsor keeps the Civilization Cycle podcast on air and giving us the courage to keep digging. That link's in the description box. This is not a toothpaste. It's a revolution for your teeth. Remineralize, strengthen teeth, all natural ingredients, essential oils, minerals, salts. Alpha Vedic Dental Solutions System. That's alphavedic.com/civilization. You know, we're always trying to bring you the best products here that we think will enhance your life, especially if supply chains break down further, or if there's some disruption in our lives here. It seems in the news more and more possible, but hey, who knows? Maybe it's a mind game. But what is not is keeping your dental health up. And not a lot of people are talking about this. We always see the storable foods. But what about dental care during these same emergency situations? Will your toothpaste eventually run out? Well, if it does, then what? So like I say, this whole micro gut biome is driven by your oral cavity first. So take a look at what they have, alphavedic.com/civilization. Every purchase you make helps keep our live radio show and podcast on air, bringing you more information just like this. alphavedic.com/civilization. That link is in the show notes below. And as always, I appreciate your valuable time and joining us in this ever and most important conversation as we move forward in our world.
Please remember to sign up for our show notes. With Civilization Cycle podcast, you can learn what to expect as society resets. Agriculture, economy, tech, and history all have mappable cycles, and these cycles affect every aspect of our lives. We can navigate the chaos and thrive together with up-to-date news and information. Also, if you like the content we have here on Civilization Cycle, think about fueling the discussions and the show by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Civilization Cycle. And thank you for all the support.
And welcome back to the second hour of the Civilization Cycle podcast. You can check that out at civilizationcycle.com. I was in the book, I was kind of flipping through looking to see how to start. So, we're going to cover the storm a little bit, the inbound storm here for Florida, but I also at the same time, since we're switching in the months here, farm animals. So, you got to think about people getting more resilient on, the storm maybe woke a lot of people up. The financial things waking a lot of people up. You can't have a hyperinflated exactly mirroring Weimar Republic silver price and gold price and not think that there might be something there. So coming into, and I'm just as a question to start the hour with here. Thank you for rejoining us, and please support our sponsors. They support us. We bring you this information every single week. But ask yourself this question: are you able to do these tasks? This is just what you need to do in a whole month of time. So the farm animals, you need to change all the bedding out. So if you have hay or straw, or you've cut your own grasses, you need to rotate that out because they need fresh hay, along if you have any dolomite, lime, or rock phosphate, something like that, rock dusts, maybe some diatomaceous clay to throw in there. Help them through the winter because they can't really take as many showers. They can't wash and bathe themselves. Egg production is up. April to May is the best egg production. But again, it's all about, checking in the coops and getting everything, making sure there's no like soiled like bedding inside anywhere the coops. And then you need to, if you have deworm cattle and goats and horses at this time, if you have any bees, you need to go and do some beehive maintenance. And also it's time to work on the greenhouse and the hoop houses. And again, you also need to trim and prune right now, a good time for pruning of your fruit trees. Like right here, if you're going to do any fruit tree pruning. And this book is from a local author just over in North Carolina. So it's a farm and gardening guide. No, I'm not selling the book. Nantahala Farms and Garden, shout out. But I do use this. And, I'm just asking to start the hour with all the things getting much more expensive, you're going to have to be growing some of your own food. It behooves you to get off the main supply chains, but are you willing to do that amount of work just in January to make sure you have your own food production going? And if you said no, then you might have to change your mind a little bit. It sounds like a lot, and there's 15 things to do. There are, but if you do one a day for 2 hours or one a day for 1.5 hours or something, a daily task, you could have some of your own food production. But if you can't, you can't. And that includes, taking care of everything that you have around your property that produces food, including trees and animals. So I guess I wanted to start it off there. I was jumping over to X, but yeah, Ransom, welcome back to the second hour. Let me dive in. I want to get on the weather forecast here showing the sea effect snows coming off of Florida, some of the low temperatures. We're going to run through a few of my favorite forecasters that I look at around X. So let me cue that up, Ransom, and then take us back in. And are you willing to do that much just in January so you could have your own food production? I guess it's a random question, but
Yeah, and you kind of make like that much. I don't know. I don't think it's that much actually. It's minimal effort is what I call it. Like right now, you could just walk around outside and you just set things out, certain seeds like peppers and different things. And by spring comes, that work has already been done. It just pops up there. I mean, it's wonderful. What happened to you? Oh, let's see here. I was going to show you guys this here also in a minute after you're done.
oh, I got it. Don't even, man. I have some charts here to show you for Florida. If you're down that way, it's kind of rare and unusual that you would get. And then also some of these things I'm looking at, if you can remember a few of the names of people I follow, you can see some of these, same charts, and then you can do your own research. Is what I really am mainly after is, can you do this on your own? Because if you know how to do it on your own, then you can share this with others, and then you're way more resilient and way more ready for any of these emergencies because you can see this stuff like 5 days out, right? News only gives you 1 or 2 days out, but you can see this literally like a crystal ball, not 3 to 5 days further out than a lot of the weather forecasters are going to go. Like right now, this is for the 1st of February. So maybe tomorrow the weather in Florida will start to say, hey, there's freeze warnings coming in. wind chills are going to be hanging near, near single digits. Are you ready for that in Florida? Because this is the wind chill that you're looking at here. So if you get down into southern Georgia, you get about 8 Fahrenheit on the wind chill. But if you come down somewhere, let's say like Central Florida, Orlando, for example, because that's easy, everybody knows that one. The wind chills there are still 13 or 14 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. It's mind-boggling. And then if you look all the way down into Miami, it doesn't go all the way down into Cuba, but even the Bahamas over there, it looks like 30 or 38, 39 degrees Fahrenheit for their wind chills in the Bahamas in the high 30s. And then if you come down into Miami or whatever, further south, it looks like 27, 26. You're chilling in Miami, Boca Raton, and you don't
Literally.
Yeah, really. Yeah, the extra ice in your ice cubes is going to last longer when you're at the pool in 26-degree Fahrenheit wind chill factor weather. Bring out the bikinis and the board shorts.
Yep, it get a little tidbit nipply around Florida these parts.
You can't even fake it, man. You bad Floridian. The snow totals here for you. There's a bombogenesis rolling offshore. So North Carolina going to get smashed again. They got hit with the ice. They're still cleaning up, but they're still going to get another 7 to 8 inches in the mountains in the same area that got all the ice storms in the last 7 days, where they're just finally getting power back on. 7 or 8 more inches of snow's coming your way. East Tennessee, you're looking at about 3 to 5, maybe 2. But the whole thing, coastal North Carolina, they're looking at 14 to 16 inches of snow on the beaches, you holiday goers. Oh, you're going to be stoked. Imagine that on the beach. I'd be so stoked to see snow on the beach. Man, that'd be such a beautiful thing. Like snow in the sand dunes. How cool is that, man? It's like having a Saharan snowstorm. I'm all about it. So yeah, that's hard to read for a lot of people on column inches because you're talking about literally water itself. So here's how the storm's coming in. Same rules apply from last week. The pink is freezing rain. Everything else is a mixture of clouds and snowfall. Anything in the green, that's going to be rainfall. That pink that you see in the center is freezing rain again, just like we had all through Mississippi, down into Louisiana, all through Tennessee. That is the same stuff. Danger, Will Robinson, that pink. If you ever see it on a chart, run for your life. The blue above it is all snow. And you can see how it spins and it really picks up a lot of moisture coming in, what's coming back on land from the sea. And it's like a sea, I don't know, sea effect snow event, bombogenesis / something there. But that's coming right now, right this weekend. Get ready for Friday on this. Saturday, it should really in earnest be here. And the precipitation, again, freezing rain offshore. So if anybody's out on fishing boats that warn them, the freezing rain is going to be just tremendous. And I can't imagine like high seas and trying to get around an icy boat surface. That's insane too. Now, here's something that's interesting of note as well. We're having absolute coldest, unbelievable, record-smashing cold of a huge area back to the 1880s. Thousands, plural, thousands of cold records have been broken in this last 7 days here in America. Look at Australia. They're the opposite on the heat, just cranking 122 Fahrenheit, like setting records, this heat records. You look at it on diametric opposites. Okay, something is causing a change in both heat and cold to the extremes that it is. This is the only news story running in Australia right now is how hot it is. Like up here, they've kind of diffused and trying to send you back into politics after there's still, 500,000 people without power a week later in America after an ice storm. Come on. You're telling me, and then they have this thing cutting power grids too because everybody's drawing. It's just too much of a draw, and this making all the news. Oh, it's this, that, there. Both hemispheres, extremes that we've really never seen before in recorded history, and it's bending the envelope of everything we've recorded in the last 150 years. It's way beyond that in both poles, both hemispheres. That's what the strange part is about this whole thing. And Ransom, feel free to comment anytime you want in. I mean,
it must be global warming, mate.
Oh, it is, mate. You got to show a shimp on the Barbie. That's our best accent. We can't really fake that one.
No, mate.
So that pink tongue coming down, and that's about 45 to 50 Celsius below zero. That's colder than Fahrenheit temperatures. Yeah, it's 500 millibar
frigid.
though, so it's not exactly ground level. You got to go up, but 3,000 feet. No, 500. Excuse me, 15,000 feet. But still, the temperatures on the ground are going to reflect that as well. So when you're looking at different temps on that, going to get really chilly in the southeast once again. So let me bring you up to this guy Ben Knoll. I like his stuff too. He's a weather forecaster. He does some stuff with Washington Compost, I believe. So let me throw this here. You got great charts though. So your possible flurries and Gulf of America effect snow is coming in from west to east, and like I say, Tampa's going to get buried up in this snow, and then it could snow as far south, coming down past Orlando, and we're getting the freeze warnings, like the hard freeze warnings in Miami. Then when you're going over to Freeport, remember we looked at the map, the wind chill there is going to be 38 degrees Fahrenheit for the wind chills across the Bahamas. So these aren't normal statements. Like if I read this to you, you'd think I'm in a science fiction movie, like Day After Tomorrow stuff. This is the actual forecast coming up on February 2nd. Like we're not going to have another broadcast before this happens, but it's just a few days away. So please prepare for it, because further north, it's going to be even colder.
Right.
Like we smashed thousands of cold records this last week, but this cold that's coming now is going to break thousands of those records that were just set as 150-year records. That's insane too in itself. Put that in perspective. Every record we broke last week is going to get broken again this storm, because it's going to be colder than that. That's insane. And, there's really no other words to use except insanity. Like if you haven't woken up and seen, or your friends or family or people around you haven't seen that this is just off the hook, things that are not ever really spoken of before. No, I think this is
Maybe that'll kill off all the invasive species they have there.
I would hope so, man. But, here we go. I'm going to run the model for you. Let me make this widescreen.
Oh,
All right, so here's the model coming through. It'll take you through the 29th, the next view. So you can see how that cold spell just came through on the 20th or so, but what's coming next looks even larger. So let run model run. Okay, what we just got was that last cold boost right there, and then look what's coming next. It's going to go so much further south. I kid you not, Ransom. They could get cold way down in Yucatan and like below freezing wind chills in the Yucatan, just so easy, in Guatemala too, like that crazy. Honduras down there too. All that.
I was going to bring that up, that this last year I've been seeing a lot of the weather models with both the heat and the cold. They wrap right around that Gulf of America there to the Yucatan Peninsula. And man, I've been there. It's like 80, 85 degrees, sometimes hotter in December and January there, the last time I went. So they usually do not cool off. So this 30-degree and below temperatures that keep popping up. I sent you a slide the other day that was showing right around the curve of the Gulf down there, and they were enjoying some freezing temperatures there. That's become a normal thing lately.
Here, I got you a couple more charts while you're doing that. Yeah, it is. And this is also another weather forecaster that I follow. His name is Big Joe Bastarde. He used to be a coach up at Penn State, I think it was, for wrestling. Super well-known up there. But a meteorologist, but he was in the wrestling and into the meteorologist. He was cool crowd, both kind. So this is where the snow is, where they're expecting piles of snow. Now get this, 5 inches of snow or so. 5 inches of snow in Florida coming. Just again, that just say that with a straight face and a weather for Florida. Buckle up. You got 5 inches of snow on the way. Sea effect snow, and you're below freezing temperatures. And the final calculations here, yeah, all the way really south toward Miami. Everything south of that is going to be in the high 20s, and that is ground temperature. That's why in northern Florida, your wind chills are going to be single digits, or right around 10 or 12 degrees Fahrenheit, single digit below that, 5-degree, 8-degree Fahrenheit wind chills. North Florida, Panhandle, and also coastal. But when you get central there around Orlando and that sort of area, and then you got the snow is going to be piling in there too, west side. Damn, that's crazy. I mean, some of these, image. Okay, here we go. This is the southern Florida look here. I want to see if I got it.
Damn.
Screen. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, 29 degrees over there.
Yeah.
28. Wow.
Well, again, some of these, well, you're looking at that purple where it's starting to get into, it looks like Sunday, February 1st, the wind chill will be 40, 5 degrees in Freeport in the Bahamas, but as you come into the second and third, that drops to 38 or 36 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're taking a holiday to the Bahamas right now, uh, bring extra warm clothing with you because it's going to be 36 wind chill. And then if we look down around, if we're going to go further south into the Keys, is that Key Largo down there, 47 degrees Fahrenheit? That's going to be your ground temperature. So with the wind, it's probably going to drop way into the mid 30s there. So bundle up. Look at that 28 degrees Boca Raton when you're heading west there in Cape Coral and stuff. Everglades are right in here in this center. That's what the Seminole First Peoples talked about the Great White Rain, where this would freeze down in this area in the Everglades, right? Like coming around. So think about that for a second. Every year, the Everglades would glaze over with a glaze of ice, and it snowed too. But they actually had a proper name for that, the Great White Rain, and it fits. It fits. It fits.
I'm wondering, my ADD kicked in, and I was thinking of what
Here's your snow. Yeah, go
botanists
ahead.
would have to. What do you think botanists would have to say about continued freezing temperatures that would happen down there in the Yucatan? Because none of those plants, none of them, they're all jungle plants. So.
Yep.
I don't know because they're not used to getting to those temperatures during winter. They would stay like I said, I've been over there in that area of the Yucatan, and it's usually 85 to 90 degrees in December and January. It's warm. It's hot. It's humid. And I was thinking, wow, I didn't want to be there in July. You know what I mean? But it's everything there is that weird jungle plants that don't need soil. So there's really no like farmland because there's not much soil. So what are they going to do when those plants start dying off from repeated freezes?
They're going to be damaged on the top leaves. So the top leaves will be the shading first on this first round of cold. That'll burn and die off. Now, if the farmers take all those leaves off, then they leave a second exposed layer that can get burnt from the cold. But just naturally out in the forest, they're going to get burnt, start to shrivel up, and then they're going to cover that next layer down. Just maybe that's a defensive mechanism of just plants in general. If you get your whole top of your tree burned off from cold, it's just going to collapse onto the lower layer as insulation, so the cold can't touch the next leaves. But if it does that repeatedly year after year, yeah, there certain plants and species wouldn't be able to be as productive for whatever bananas might be a goodie, but although they grow up here, these plantain trees, similar to bananas, they die off every winter, but they grow back,
Right.
So your snowfall forecast. Yeah, and if you start saying something of like, hey, you're gonna get inch deep snows in Guatemala, like down, at the beaches, this would be something startling to, like in Oaxaca, down on the beach somewhere, you get,
Yeah, some Tulum action, man.
Yeah, right. Imagine Tulum with snow. You're going to get 2 or 3 inches of snow in Tulum. Puerto Escondido on the beach, you're going to get like 3 inches of snow. That you would call me insane.
There's a super chat for you.
Let me see what we got here. Thank you for the kind donation. If this is our winter, what should we expect in the spring and summer months this year?
Flooding.
Yeah, lots because of a big snowpack. And then last program, I showed you from the what was that, Rutgers Ice Lab, that there is less snow in the spring and less snow in the fall, but it seems to be more centered in the middle of winter. So coming out in spring, it really did show that it was decreasing in snow every year. But that could radically flip, like the silver price went straight up. We could have a bar that just comes straight out of there, like a very unusual spring. But generally, it shows less snow, which makes me happy. Less snow, good. Coming into the spring, you can clean up faster. And the summer would probably be a scorcher, just like it is down south in Australia right now. I think we've rolled over to the moment of extremes, where it's going to be heat and cold, both to the extreme. Like imagine as extreme as it is, like in the Southeast US, if you've never experienced this kind of cold, it's chilly. But then also on the heat side, it's going to be so hot you literally can't breathe, even though you're used to the heat. And you're used to stuff being, hot, muggy Southeast, but it'll be so hot where you literally go, it's never been that hot before. And you'll physically notice it. You won't even have to have a newscaster tell you. It'll feel like you're cooked in a microwave oven and you're breathing superheated steam. Like that kind of summer. At what point will people wake up and notice that we're into the extremes and hyperinflating away the actual base of the monetary system, which is it's money, gold and silver. Everything else priced against that is running away into hyperinflation right now. So with every metal that you can name in the dictionary going up leaps and bounds, including uranium, up and up and up and everything up and up, at what point do you think food will follow that? Is my question, because everything is following. Bitcoin's going to follow. All the extra money that's going to get pumped into the system to save it from failing, all that's going somewhere. So everything else is running everything. Now, you can't buy a metal to put your hand on anywhere. There's nothing left of metals. It's so expensive and scarce now. Everything is following it in turn. Now, whether it's Bitcoin next or whether it is wheat next or whatever, all things shall follow the same trajectory based on this fiat priced against gold and silver. So again, that's something to look for this summer. It's maybe not weather related, but it's something that fits. And what do we have here? That guy's face. I think I know that guy's face from somewhere. Is that Michael Mann? Hockey stick dude? I see you chuckling behind the screen there. Is that him?
I think so. I was looking for
Let's shrink us down and see.
I was looking for a something like a gold wheat ratio, but for fiat money. Can't seem to find that.
Well, I have a cattle gold ratio. If you put an X here, if you put cattle gold ratio, there's a chart that'll pop up. It's pretty much equal all the way since the 1980s. Like what I would take to get a cow, the ratio of 1 ounce of gold to get how much beef has remained the same for the last, since the 1980s. Last 40 years.
According to the AI Google people, basically gold and wheat have maintained its ratio, purchasing power, and in terms of gold, the same pretty much throughout time, fluctuating, showing a 42 to 44 year cycle where sometimes there's more wheat to gold, but evidently they've been using it. So I'm sure that someone has figured out.
I didn't know I was on that screen. That was me with that Michael Mann one there. Because that's a weather thing that I follow Ben Nolan, those guys. Here, I'll give you the screen back. Excuse me, I'm screen hogging. I didn't even know I was on there. I thought that was you, Ransom. I was like, is that Michael Mann? Okay. Do you have that? Can you show that what you just described there? Because
yeah,
it's really important to understand. This is probably this is the most important sentence that you got out of the whole night right here. You're scaring me here, actually, when you're reaching this.
Yeah, if I read it right.
So can you read that again? Because really, everybody, I'm serious. This is the very most important thing you'll get from tonight's talk is this right here.
The gold wheat ratio measures the purchasing power of gold in terms of wheat, representing how many bushels of wheat 1 ounce of gold can buy. It's a long-term indicator of value. The ratio, historically tending to fluctuate, often showing a 42 to 44 year cycle. Recently, the ratio has seen upward trends driven by increased technological efficiencies in farming compared to mining. But long-term stability. Despite short-term fluctuations, gold maintains relatively consistent value against essential commodities like wheat over long periods of time.
So if the price of silver and gold both, so let's go gold first, went up to $5,600 in the world market and then pulled back because of subsequent fakeness in the paper market, dropping at 10% in an afternoon. And then it jumped back up. So let's say $500 or $5,600. What do you think your food is going to follow in pricing? Because you just said there's a ratio to it. So if gold just spiked to all-time record highs, don't you think that wheat is going to follow and spike to all-time record highs? I mean, I'm just asking like a real simple question. Simple question.
It seems like it would. That the price of wheat would go up with it. And I mean, in terms of the fiat dollar, which means the wheat would be really expensive since gold is going expensive. They're not going to give me what I want here. That's what's funny about that. What I'm wanting is a fiat dollar ratio to food.
Yeah,
And they
because that
keep
fiat
giving me the
dollars, they're
gold.
gonna keep it. They're gonna keep inflating away. And I want to say something about Japan. So Japan has two choices right now. They're at the end of their economic viability at the moment. Like they're in a collapse phase, and they have two choices: A or B. They can sell all the treasury bills that they hold in Japan at one time, and that would give them the extra capital to purchase gold and things to back their currency again, so they don't go into a not a hyperinflation, but a very critical, ridiculous, like Argentina style inflation in Japan. And that would really just wreck the country. Or they can print themselves and take on more US debt. They have a choice. They can print it or they can sell it. No in between. So this puts them in a very bad position. Somebody was making the joke, well, that if Japan sells all of its bonds, it can torpedo the American economy, and it would. If Japan sells to cover itself so it doesn't have to print and hyperinflate its citizens away, that's the choice they would take. But would the U.S. be there with their military to stop them from doing that? Because that literally would be the end of the economy as we understand it, and is this form that functions now. And everything would start taking pricing on everything else except dollars, right? Gold would be priced against the wheat. Gold would be priced against cattle. Silver against something. There wouldn't, like, the dollars wouldn't exist anymore. Like, how many times do you see Zimbabwe dollars tied to something else in an exchange rate, right? You don't. They're just not used. They're hyperinflated away. So what's the value of the Zimbabwe dollars out on the international market against something? It's not even priced in that except in Zimbabwe, which is a fictitious rate anyway. Like, just countries' peripheries say, no, I don't want that stuff. Like their neighbors, no, hell no. Maybe on the border, you guys agree yourself, but keep us central banks out of it. No way. That's scary. It's risky. No way. That, other things are priced together outside that Zimbabwe dollar. This is what's going to happen here if it keeps going the direction. So Japan is in it. China's in it. They almost had a coup the other day. Like, you see, it's everywhere. There's something happening. Korea suspended all precious metal sales. All of it. No more. If you didn't get in Korea in time, you got a zero chance now, because even the 1 ounce bars, anything in the banks, anything, even online, it's all gone. Nothing more. Not even a single gram for sale in Korea. And then China has this happen. Coincidental, I might ask.
I don't know. I've been kind of following this a little bit. It seems like maybe a new order is happening in China right now. They just haven't figured out which way it's going to go. But allegedly, it ain't just the ones that are getting, I guess, televised via us, but in the articles that are getting purged. I think that is the right word. But lots of people, troops, businesses, different things, if they're associated with the wrong people at the wrong time, just gone, which I think opens up an opportunity for China and South Korea, if it doesn't go completely communist soon, that they can, maybe China can back out of their empire building if they get demoted, because there's a lot of problems happening in China that are all catching up at the same time. Actually, China and the United States are similar in a couple of ways, as far as having long-term problems finally catching up to them and then having to deal with it. Now, they're not dealing with immigration or any of those kind of things. However, they did mess up their numbers of where they were going to be at this time. They thought they were going to be a lot stronger as far as people, money, empire. It's turning out not to be that, which, unfortunately also makes them kind of like a caged animal, in the fact that we have no idea what's going to happen next in China. And that's going to, put shockwaves out anywhere, one way or the other. And I'm thinking Japan, because of where it's located and the position it's in historically and economically, is going to have to break rank and make some deals with its neighbors, which is China. I mean, business deals. So for mutually assured thing, and that's a good thing if that would happen. It's just whether or not the other sectors on Earth are going to let that roll out that way, which I don't think they will.
No, and you got to think about it wasn't just one general. Like, they had people under you. One dude can't take over a government, right? Like, look at that. Now, you know more about the military aspect. So maybe, Ransom, if I could pick your brain for a second. Like if you were going to have a coup, and it could be just any size of, okay, let's just on a base because you know more about that. Like how many people would have to be involved in the entire coup to take over just one base? Think about
Just
that, like percentage wise of people. So it says has purged its highest ranked military general. Okay, that's one dude. It took, no pun intended, an army of other people in agreement to make a coup happen. Right? What happened to all the rest of those people? Or where are they? Or what?
hanging out with the Uyghurs, I guess. I don't know.
The Uyghurs. Yeah,
The Uyghurs. Yeah, I'm sorry, mispronunciation.
no, yeah, it depends on how you see that U sound with the two dots over it. Both
You
okay.
know, temporarily, like say you're talking about a base, you would only need 5 people, probably the base commander and his closest subordinates. So if you didn't
Mhm.
have his closest subordinates, they're going to snitch. They're going to go around. It's going to fizzle out because nobody's going to go along with the losing side if they see it that way. I think that's what's happening over here. This guy kind of built a following, people that are friends with him and the people that were around him talking about stuff or planning stuff. They might be getting erased, or the whole thing might be coming down like a big house of cards because no one will know who to trust. Everybody kind of figured this might happen once they made Xi Jinping a permanent fixture in the Communist Party. That eventually, when he neared elder years, there would be some kind of infighting to figure out who's next. And I think we're at that. We're there.
Yeah, that's so true. Wolai. Okay, so my understanding of China, when Xi Jinping came into power, there was another competing person, Bolai, I think was his name, out of Chongqing. It was the most powerful person, controlled the entire west of China pretty much. And Xi Jinping came in and was like, that you got your own kingdom out there, bro. You need to come in, and an incredible amount of corruption, and they kept hitting everybody with corruption charges, correct? Because it was getting really like, even the point of the average people were like, dude, this place is so corrupt. This China, man, it is really corrupt. You need to clean this place up. And then everybody was in agreement with it, like, yeah, stop the corruption, stop the corrupt politicians. Like, you can't say that because you'll get disappeared in the night. But if the government was saying it, you could rah with the government and agree because you wanted the same result. Get the dirty politicians out of here. And they were just running around arresting and pulling anybody in on the corruption side. And everybody was cheering it on. All the regular people were like, yeah, he's a corrupt piece of shit. He spent $1 million, bringing dogs down in like a rented car, Ferrari and stuff into his house in the middle of town. And everybody else is living on $2 a day. And he got this ridiculousness going on. Like, those people need to be arrested and out of there. So they had wide support for such a long time in this cleansing of house. And nobody else was anything on that faction of the side in West China that was with Bolai. Again, I may have the name wrong, but I think that was it. Everybody gravitated over, and there was only that faction that was truly in belief and 100% in alignment with Xi Jinping's policies and the way to maintain power around the country. Now, you're right. I do believe that could have. Now, there's people probably that have a lot of very smart, let's say, statisticians, historians, economists, and that sort of thing that are in these regional areas that are going, man, damn, they don't know what they're doing with all this manufacturing stuff. This is going to collapse out here. We're going to start our own monetary off system in this region of the country. Like, we need to take over because the whole thing's going to collapse if we don't take it over because they don't know what they're doing up there. So you got these regional factions wanting to start their own, economic kingdoms based on the mistakes of, yet again, central planning.
Well, it's really scary in the way that China may have outgrown the Communist Party in the way that their technological advances, their military industrial complex, and just their overall power on the globe has reached to an epic proportion. So somebody is going to take the vacuum. The question is who and then what they're going to do. And, we're hearing rumors of people defecting, of assassinations. I think this thing said at the beginning here that they were estimating 10. Yeah, here it is. Xi Jinping's decade-long purge may have targeted nearly 10 million officials. And how would we even know that over here? And what does that mean? But, there's no telling how this is going to, come out on the other end because, like I said, the country itself, the industrial complex that it's become, is a massive power, and it's going to go into somebody's hands. And that the West has tentacles in there the same way that China has tentacles over here. And we know that there's lots of plans going down about who's going to seize the world's resources. Really, really, there's an emphasis on that, and you can see it with the spread of not only the Russian Empire but the Chinese and the Americans, where we're grabbing up land and grabbing up treaties because all of them, maybe it's just cabin fever, like I've said before. They're just gone insane because we have everything that we can have technologically, and there's just no place to go other than off the world or to get rid of the other people on the world. And it seems like all the groups agree that that's going to be a portion of the answer to the problem, is just get rid of people. And I think they're going to be able to talk a bunch of people into taking a UBI, getting neutered, basically through your food, water, and medicine, not having any more children, and just disappearing within 1 or 2 generations, like the bulk of the population that basically take the blue pill, go back to sleep, and believe whatever they want to believe, versus the people that see that the walls are closing in worldwide. It's not just one empire, but all of them are trying to seize power and gasping for, maybe the death throes of these empires into something new, which, we've rumored a long time about the New World Order, and that's still the terminology that they use. So they haven't given this idea up. It just is a question of who's going to be running it and how. And we know it's going to be technological in nature, which means that a good portion of the population has to get out because there's just too many people to keep track of efficiently. But if you reduce that number down, then you don't have to produce as much food. You don't have to produce as much power to control the people left. And, maybe it'll turn out to be a technological utopia for those who exist in the future, or
Well,
a technotronic nightmare of slavery and servitude.
well, you won't have that liability of all those older people that you need to pay on Social Security that are raking in, not $1,600 a month, but like 12,000 a month.
Right. And
So,
what I was
that
thinking too,
liability too.
with all of this stuff, they're already convincing people to help with their, their 401ks and stuff like that, to help them with assisted moving on to the next adventure there. So that's
Yeah, that's
becoming
crazy.
really, really popular. And then some of these people, instead of giving their money to their offspring, they're donating it to more organizations that push more euthanasia. And now you can use your UBI to pay for that.
Now, just to show you how absurd this is, where we're going now. See, I don't know how all this is going to happen if we don't have any money. All right, so
Right.
Japan has to choose between sacrificing its economy, where its exchange rate now at 160 is going to go to like 300 in a matter of weeks after that, or they sell all those treasury bonds that they're holding of ours, of the longer term debt, like 30-year, 20-year, and they sell it all out onto the market to use then that money to buy assets like gold and silver to prevent their own currency from collapsing inside. So they have an A or B choice. But while this is all going on, all the manipulation on the pricing, look at the gold pricing across the world. Like, we in America here are at least $300 lower than the rest of the world for our gold. And they even slammed it down during the afternoon, 300 or 10%. It went up to 5,600. And then some magic paper came out and knocked the price down to nearly 5,000, or not $5,050 in a matter of just 10 minutes. Gold dropped 10% in price. That is historical. It has never happened in the history of mankind ever, even going back way past the Romans, way back Phoenicians, man, Hittites, way back to the Sumerians. Never happened before, and has happened now. So here's your arbitrage prices. Now, these are probably a little bit old here. And that let me see. I would like to make that big screen. Yeah, thank you. So in Hong Kong, if you buy an ounce of gold, the price was 5,527. And here in America, it's 5,202. And look at Mumbai, it's 5,590. In London, it's 5,508. But here in New York, it's 5,202. Like, who is playing games with and crashing the price down that far from the global price down in our own local markets to smash it down just for us? literally just for us. We're saving our own dollar by manipulating the gold and silver price just in America. They can't manipulate it globally. They can manipulate the price in America only. Like that is broken now. Before, the one price was a global price, but this is fractured as of this week. Again, first time that this has happened in the modern finance age, where we are now fractured on global pricing. So what's coming out of the COMEX in America is no longer issued as the valid that we will follow that price. There's other places out there making their own price structure.
Are
So
you
we are by
telling?
ourselves making our own gold prices. Now, how easy is that to manipulate against the American people now?
I was going to say, are you telling me that they're doing this nationally, like by nation, just the same thing as what you were talking about earlier, where you have a price based on who you are and your credit score? And they're going to do that to countries. The value of gold and this and that is going to be a different price depending on where you're at and who you are. I mean, because this looks like a bigger version of that same idea. You're over here, so gold costs this much. You're over here, it costs that much. And you can't whenever it's a bunch of different prices like this, you have to have a world standard or people can't really trade it.
And that's what COMEX used to provide. And the LBMA, the London Bullion Metals Exchange, they also provided that. Shanghai was never in the game before. There was never a Shanghai Gold Exchange until recently. Like that never existed. And they came out and now they're the premier player along with Dubai. Dubai should be in there with Mumbai, and also Shanghai should be in there too, but I don't see those listed. I just see Hong Kong, Mumbai, and London. You need to add Shanghai in there for sure, and the UAE. Right. So you got those different pricing structures that are within the BRICS aligned thought, maybe not full members, Shanghai Cooperation Organization crew over there, all with different pricing, slightly different. But you notice one thing, it's in the 5,500s. Now it's just a little bit different. Is it 55? Is it $59 or is it $8 or is it $27? Or in Shanghai, is it 5,600 where so it's in that same band of 100, but it's varying between like the rounding up again. Here we go. It's very similar, but it's just so in your face now that the banks are colluding to smash the gold and silver price in America, but the rest of the world continues to run with its own individual pricing. Like, this is what we're facing. So if you kept saying, are they going to confiscate metals? What are they going to do with metals? Well, here's part of your answer. They're allowing our banks to crush the price 10% in a single day just for Americans. Yay. Welcome to the margin call world, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, I was just thinking this yesterday too about this, that if you knew where and when you could make it, like say, I knew for a fact that Brussels was going to collapse. People were going to move away and people were moving their funds out of it before it happened. You would know that money is just going to disappear there in that whole area. And then for the next decades, it's going to be, a horrible place to be. And I see something like that, like right now, like check this out, because if you were to go back to 1960 Iran, most of the people in the Middle East and throughout Europe like to hide their money in different places. So they would put a lot of money in Tehran, but things changed and all of the money left.
Did
You're
they
see-
really? That Tehran used to be like a Switzerland of the Middle East or something.
Yes, people would go. It was the old Dubai. It was going to be the Dubai that Dubai is today. But now you see a reversal of that right now.
Oh.
Iran's elites transfer 1.5 billion to Dubai as they abandon ship. Another indication that
Yeah, they're gone. If they're moving the money, they're out.
yeah,
For
and then
sure.
we got this. They're going to launch all their drones and make a big spectacle for, it's kind of like the fire that's going out there, and it's got one last little poof of fire and smoke before it goes out. This is the end of the fireworks show here in Iran. And there's a lot of investors all over the place that can't wait for it.
Yeah, gold and
Because
silver will spike. Gold will go above 6,000 for sure. Something like this were to tick off with all this craziness already.
right.
Yeah,
And
then you
this
got to
is not
think
a
about
bad
what's
term right
safe.
here.
What's something that even copper's running in price now. Like just holding $100 box of nickels is going to make you money. It's that simple. Like, sheesh.
I know, and it's funny to me when people are like, "We want the oil, we want this, that." It's not the oil; it's the whole thing. It's the ability to be allowed to do business.
Yeah,
It's
that's it.
the oil, it's the gold, it's the silver, it's the manpower, it's the location, it's the transit through their territories. All of that is what it is.
But
And
wait, what do you need first though, Ransom? What do you need first? You need those people that you just invaded to believe that their lives are going to get better with you in charge so they don't sabotage all your pipelines and your roads and your railways. That's the key thing. They need to change hearts and minds. Hearts and minds go first, then the other infrastructure goes second. But first, you need to convince the people unequivocally this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread when we're here.
it makes you wonder if maybe that's why they shipped half of their military away to Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. All of the people that would have potentially been part of this trigger volcano of violence that they're expecting to have, after we go in there. I think what's funny is it would be easy for the president of the United States to go all the way to the brink of doing something, maybe even a couple strikes, and then just pull completely back. And the whole, craze up until the point will collapse Iran. Iran's gone. I mean, obviously, if the people are moving the money, the people that live there that have the money, the elites are leaving. That's not unlike looking at the U.S. and knowing the billionaires are buying bunkers in New Zealand.
Yeah, and also the popular support is gone. Like you can't force that back even at the barrel of a gun. Like people believe your system or they don't. And that's the whole thing. The belief system in Iran is eroded and it's gone. Like the belief system in money itself is eroding and being gone right now in so many places in the world. It's just taken a minute to catch up here into the US. But the belief system of actually the entire system itself that gave you electricity, they can't even turn on the electricity. Power outages in America for more than a week after a storm. Like, really? The whole belief that we can even be taken care of anymore in the old systems, that belief of that system is gone and there's nothing to believe in any longer. That's what I'm saying. The entire planet is experiencing this. So what is there to believe in next? Alien invasion? Oh, the gods are coming back or whatever. I don't know. That's the only possible thing that can get this whole belief system back on track again.
Well, here's
It's
the
the belief.
aliens. Here's the aliens right here. I mean, we've been talking long about engineered people. And by the way, that guy that made the engineered people in China just got released out of prison the other day. He created 2 new species of human, 2 girls. He added DNA to them. They allegedly disappeared into the population. He got jailed, but now he's out. So the whole world's forgot about that now.
Did he
But you
keep the
have,
patents on them?
well, I'm sure China, the party owns it. Sure.
Oh, see, I
Um,
forgot. There's no patent
um,
protection over there. Come on.
You have, IVF
That's the
companies.
that's the biggest joke in history. The largest scientific discovery ever in the history of humanity was discovered and patented in China, where you can't patent anything because the technology is always stolen on the patents. That's just like so apropos for the moment of
Right.
life here, isn't it?
Well, they've never cared. I think it was, I don't quote me on the year, but I think it was around 2009 that they created the first part rabbit, part human embryo and got it going where it was going to create something. Supposedly they terminated that, but this is old news. And when you look at this, universal basic income idea and the whole digital system of track and trace and biometrics, you see that it's going to be a lot less people in this world. And I was bringing that up before. You have to get rid of a lot of people in order to implement this new system that they're going to have. And part of that is by deciding who gets born. You've heard of the Echo Life factories where they can create the babies. In China, they have robots that they intended to use robots where the elderly can now have a child and that takes care of it. So we're going into the brave new world that was once quoted about the weird future we might have, which is now actually that title is considered bad and hate speech and other things already around the world because they don't want you talking about these ideas. We're going to allow the public to pick and choose kind of sort of all of their eggs in one basket, so to speak, with not only their healthcare, their money, their freedom, and their genetics. And this is where we cross over into that new world. Is it going to be an alien or is it just going to be a new species of people that are created by the corporations and the digital transhuman system? And that's what we're looking at here. So it is, in no other
Right,
words, but eugenics.
Could we describe the optimized baby, and then maybe people can get a visual out of that? Right there, the
Well,
words it was saying, just above the image there, describe the baby.
oh yeah, right here.
Optimize a baby who's smarter, taller, and healthier than
Right.
embryonic siblings. Okay. So
Right. And
describe that
now,
kind of baby to me, that patented baby. Describe it. What is it?
well, I don't know exactly what this baby's going to be like, but I know who's going to be
All
getting the
thunder
jobs.
grin.
Well, think about this. This goes into why they're going out of their way to catalog metadata in the area of purchasing and medical stuff because they have now discovered, and I forgot to bring that article up, but they have now discovered that longevity and lifespan is almost 70% genetic. So, in other words, all of these ideas about nutrients and life expansion through exercise and healthy choices, that's a smaller part of it than we thought. And they know how to manipulate this now. So you're going to have a caste system of the upper class that are allowed to go in only certain areas, because they're rich and they have the right idea and the right ID, excuse me, and biometrics. And then there's going to be another class of all designed people. Now, they're giving you this wonderful utopic idea, something like the movie Gattaca, where you can just decide that your kid's not going to have any diseases or chances of this or that. You could decide what color their hair and their eyes are, taller, more muscular, smarter, all of that stuff. But I bet they won't actually let people do that unless you're above a certain level on the biometric system to be able to pick these options like smarter, faster, and things like that. But instead, you'll have a shorter lifespan, easier to for the worker. You'll make great factory worker. They'll be telling 9-year-olds that, all right, you're a factory worker.
Yeah,
You're already.
describe slave class. Just describe a optimized slave.
Well, that's what it is. If you don't have money to pay for the eugenics, then you're going to be put in a different class, and your biometrics and your digital ID and your social credit score is all going to be tied up with who you are at the cellular level. Do you have, and then this opens up the whole world of products for prostheses and peripherals, implants, and all this other stuff that they also are trying to promote the idea of, which allows them to wirelessly control a child from cradle to grave and decide what he's going to do his whole life. Everything from his job to how long he's going to live, or she, whatever. I don't want to, misgender the future. But this is where it's going. And that all continuity of government programs that are in any of the bigger empires like China, Russia, maybe even the EU, like the Netherlands, who knows which countries are participating, that they are all investing in this because we know it, because they've been doing it with the food for the last 20 years. So now we're moving on to the animal phase of controlling civilization through the genes up, using AI as kind of a mother hen to keep track of everything. And that's literally where it's going. But
Oh,
the
wait a second,
problem with
Ransom.
that,
It sounds so like the stories of the Anunnaki creating the gold mining race of humans 400,000 years ago. It's like we've come through
absolutely.
that and outlived our usefulness because we're getting too smart again. So the very opposite of that would have been stupid or shorter or continually sick. Put that on universal basic income. The money flows right back into whatever companies, and then that money flows right back into the money printing house again.
Right. And I'm seeing it all as a scam. Like,
400,000 year
like what?
cycle. That's what we're in. We're in a
Right.
400,000 year cycle.
It's like a suicide program. I mean, not to use that word, but basically they're offering all of these alternatives for you to be euthanized, like this. Here, how about you just put your brain in a supercomputer? It's fine. Well, because they know the truth is once the boomers are gone and the Generation X is gone, that the millennials and the generations younger than that will accept and beg for the control system of new gadgets and what they see as an easy life, but really it's going to be a horrible life. I mean, that is Cronenberg's. That's what we're turning into. It's
But the
we're,
terraformed planet goes right along with that. Have you noticed that that makes perfect sense? If they're trying to bring up a new species of human because what they had created and what has I hate to use the word evolve, but what has manifested out of us becoming and knowing our surroundings around us is we've become too intelligent for the creators of, if you're believing the false gods,
right.
not the true gods or God itself of
They just
creation.
need to they just need to get it down to where there's that person that just never questions anything and
Yeah.
accepts the entertainment and the dog treat, the tasty dog treats from, and they'll be on that digital soup kitchen and not even realize it because they will think that they're getting paid to exist.
But wait, we're in a different magnetic field. So, you start to look at this thing and, a 400,000 year cycle would make sense. They got to reset humanity, literally reset it into a new human species because whatever magnetic field we're going into, the old one created into this magnetic field is not going to be functional or way too smart. It's going to get the spark of God back because of a new frequency that they was removed genetically, creating the worker class to mine gold for them
Right.
400,000 years ago.
Well, they're almost
Come past that, we need a new speciation because the old one got too smart.
Well, just think about all of the civilized world basically today, and you'll see infertility dumbing down, less birth rate, all of these things all going to a singularity. And as far as I know, Africa is probably the only continent that hasn't been saturated by these programs yet.
Soon come, man. Soon come. But anyway, thank you for joining us tonight. Please remember to sign up for the show notes. Civilizationcycle.com. Just drop your email in there. We'll give you 10 bullet points of some of the ideas. You can scan that QR code right on your screen there as well. Try to keep it simple, just 10 bullet points so you can remember. You can do some of your own research. You can start conversations with others. A lot of interesting things we talked about tonight, especially that most interesting of the gold to wheat ratio. And I was going to bring up the gold to cattle ratio as well. So those things, if the price of gold is going up and they believe 10,000 is the next stop for gold, if they're tied together through history, what do you think is going to happen with the beef and the wheat price? Up and up. That's very important to understand in the civilization cycle. Do thank you tonight, and also buymeacoffee.com. Please drop your comments over there. Get us a double espresso so we can work through the night. We'll bring you more information like this next week for sure. There's going to be so much happening in the next 7 days. You can almost intuitively feel it. I'm excited for next week's show already. Bye for now.